31F, living in a mid-sized progressive city, where every cafe has activist posters, but nobody leaves a decent tip work in marketing for a self-proclaimed ethical startup. We sell dull-colored reusable bottles with soft, community slogans. Price tag could literally cover someone's rent. Been calling myself a feminist since I was like 15. Not the trendy slogan shirt type, the Reed's theory. Highlights margins, sends 8-minute voice notes about power systems. Type main social circle is 5 dudes from college. Tyler, upbeat gym guy with golden retriever vibes. Eric, sleep-deprived coder running on espresso and anxiety. Mateo, artsy bartender with a graveyard of failed bands and exes. Caleb, teacher who acts like he's 42 even though he's barely 30. Jamal, quiet one who notices everything and almost never jumps in for years. We're just a tight group board games, football nights, cheap taco joints, movie binges, late-night grocery runs. They joke I'm basically one of the guys. I always correct that, say I'm more like their built-in feminist filter. Everyone laughs, but in my head that actually feels true over time. Something shifts. I go deeper into feminism and activism. More books, more podcasts, longer essays about culture and power. Start going to panels, listening to speakers. Phrases like systemic harm, embedded narratives, cultural conditioning. Those phrases stick in my brain. Once you have the words, the feelings stop being vague stuff. I used to ignore starts lining up like a pattern ads, jokes, memes, sports, music. All of it starts looking like data points once I notice it. I feel obligated to say. Something staying quiet feels like I'm betraying everything I've learned, corrections. Start small group chat, sends a meme of some bikini girl with a gross caption. I respond with a quick breakdown about objectification and how media centers male desire. They mention a bar where all the servers wear tight outfits. I add a few lines about how sexy vibe usually just means normalized harassment and underpaid emotional labor. Someone vents about his ex. I push back on, calling her crazy. Talk about how that label gets used to dismiss women's emotions. At first they treat it like a personality quirk. Tyler calls me Professor Eric, types, "Uh-oh, woke patrol is here." Mateo jokes, I should charge for awareness workshops. Caleb says it's good to have someone who challenges perspectives. Jamal just watches and sips his drink in my head. They actually appreciate it. I picture them years later, thanking me for helping them grow. Their discomfort feels like proof I'm doing the right thing. That's the story I tell myself, every time the room goes quiet after I talk. My perspective keeps sharpening. Football starts looking less like a game and more like packaged violence sold. As heroism gyms feel like stages where masculinity gets performed, under harsh lighting, bars near strip clubs look like exploitation with nicer decor. Guy bonding starts sounding like training, where women are either jokes or prizes. The more I see it, the harder it is to treat anything as neutral if it's part of a harmful pattern. How am I supposed to ignore it? One playoff night at a packed sports bar. Everything clicks, places crowded, screens everywhere, noise blasting. We cram around a sticky table, pitchers of beer, wings, random strangers yelling at TVs nearby, commercial break hits. Truck ad comes on slow-motion mud shots. Deep voice narration. Woman in tight jeans climbing into passenger seat. Tyler does a quick half whistle at the screen. I jump in instantly, say, it's straight-up propaganda teaching them to link masculinity with control, ownership, and women's bodies. Tyler laughs it off, says he just thinks the truck looks cool. Adds the woman probably isn't even real, just filters and editing. I use that as fuel. Start explaining how even feeling entitled to judge a woman's body, real or fake, comes from the same system. Caleb tries steering back to the game. Eric mutters he came to watch football, not attend a lecture. I fire back that media literacy is exactly what he needs. If he doesn't want to be programmed, the air at the table tightens a bit. My chest tightens too. But it feels like purpose. Later that night, I vent in a feminist group chat. Call it another evening of unpaid emotional labor. They hype me up. Say I'm doing important work. Say my friends are lucky to have someone calling things out. That validation hits like fuel, feels like confirmation. I'm on the right track next few months. It becomes a pattern board game. Night turns into me, pointing out how conquest mechanics mirror colonial systems. Fantasy football leads to a speech about commodifying male bodies while ignoring safety and pay issues in women's sports. Gym talk turns into analysis of body surveillance tied to capitalism and gender norms. Random jokes about crazy girls get flagged in my head as stigmatizing women's mental health. None of what I'm saying is technically wrong that becomes my armor. Every time someone sighs or goes quiet, I tell myself, discomfort doesn't equal me being wrong. What I never really stop to ask is whether being right is the only thing that matters in a friendship. Their reactions start changing. The professor jokes. Stop sounding playful and start sounding tired. Conversations shift quicker when I jump in eye contact. Starts bouncing around the table like they're checking who's next, if the vibe drops. I read it as them processing hard truths, not as them getting worn out. First clear sign, something's off. Hits on a random, Friday week's been exhausting. Too many meetings about brand integrity at work. Realize I haven't seen the guys in a while, scroll through the group chat. Last time we all hung out was movie night at Mateo's place. We watched some action movie with a strong female lead. I remember pointing out, she was basically a male fantasy in leather, framed as empowerment. Tyler said, not everything needed to turn into a thesis. I laughed it off. Then now, it feels like a warning sign. I ignored. Decide to reach out, type in the group chat that I miss everyone, ask what people are doing. This weekend, message flips from delivered to read. Under all 5 names, expect fast replies. Instead, silence 10 minutes, then 30. Nothing eventually, Tyler responds. Says he's probably just staying in. Long week. Eric follows, says he's catching up on stuff. Caleb drops a thumbs up. Mateo says he might have a shift, not sure yet. Jamal doesn't say anything. No one suggests another day. No one asks what I'm doing. It feels empty. Tell myself not to overreact. Tell myself, people get busy that night. I'm on Instagram with a glass of wine. First story is Tyler's girlfriend. She's at a sports bar, camera pans across the table. Tyler, Eric, Mateo, Caleb, Jamal, plus a couple random guys. I kind of recognize beer, wings, everyone yelling at the TV, watch the story again and again, pause when the camera sweeps past. My face isn't there, check the group chat again, scroll back to Tyler, saying he's just chilling at home. Look at him on my phone, clearly not at home. First feeling isn't anger, it's confusion. Maybe it was last minute, maybe someone texted, hey, I'm here, pull up, and it snowballed. Maybe they assumed I wouldn't want to go, which, honestly, I kinda don't anymore. Tell myself, there's probably a harmless explanation. Decide not to bring it up. Decide. I'm above making a thing out of one night next day. The chat is normal, memes, jokes, random complaints about work. No one says, sorry, no one mentions the bar. I respond like nothing's off, but something in me is paying closer attention. Now small things start stacking, they reference last time, and I have no idea what they're talking about. Inside jokes pop up from moments I clearly wasn't there for. When I ask, answers are vague. It feels like I'm out of sync with the timeline. 2 weeks later, I try again, ask if anyone wants to hang out that weekend. Caleb says he's got grading. Mateo says he might be working. Tyler reacts with a shrug, emoji. No actual plan, just soft nose. Next day at lunch, I open Instagram. Mateo posted a photo at a baseball game group selfie. Stadium behind them, beer cups, foam, finger. Everyone's smiling. All of them are there. Even 2 women I've never seen before. Caption says, Guy's Day, despite the women in the picture. I stare at it, scroll back to my message from the day before, line up the timestamps in my head. They told me they were busy, then went out together and didn't invite me. Something in me switches. Confusion turns into this cold, sharp clarity message. Tyler, directly tell him. I saw the game post. Say it felt weird not being included. Ask, gently. If I did something, he leaves me on, read long enough to make my stomach twist. Finally replies, says it was last minute. Adds he figured I wouldn't want to go. Anyway, stare at that line type that I would have liked the choice, delete. It type that I've been going to games with them for years. Delete again, end up just saying, I miss hanging out. He replies that things have felt different lately. I ask what he means by different. See the typing bubble, then it disappears. No message comes. My brain starts bouncing between 2 versions of reality. One where they're being fake and avoiding me. One where I've become exhausting and didn't notice till my feminist group chat. Most of them lean hard into the first version. Friends in my feminist chat say, this is what happens when men get called out. Say guys want to coast through life without thinking about harm. Say they support you right up until it requires change. Hearing that feels good slots me neatly into truth teller and them into fragile guys. But I can't stop replaying the past year. Notice how many nights ended with me talking and them shrinking back. Start checking their social media way more than I want to admit most weekends. They're together, house parties, game nights, trivia at bars, backyard cookouts. Pattern is obvious, their social life looks exactly like ours used to. I'm just not in it anymore. Scrolling through photos from Mateo's apartment, notice a new girl keeps showing up in one pic. She's sitting on the armrest of the couch in another. She's wedged between Tyler and Caleb. Tag says her name is Chloe. Click her profile. Mutuals with all 5 of them. Photos at the gym, at games and jerseys, laughing at bars, captions like, boys being boys, under group shots. All the guys liking and commenting. My chest tightens. Brain immediately labels her, pick me. It organizes the feeling fast. They didn't just drift from me. They swapped me out for someone easier. Someone who laughs, drinks, doesn't turn everything into a discussion under the irritation. There's something else too, jealousy. She looks relaxed in spaces that started making me feel like a siren going off. At this point, ignoring it isn't working. Open the group chat, start typing that. I need to say something, tell them. I've noticed they've been hanging out without me mention specific stuff. I saw online say, it sucks realizing I only find out after the fact. Ask if I did something wrong. Say I'd rather hear it directly than guess hit send. Watch the read receipts pop up one by one. Tyler, Eric, Caleb, Mateo, Jamal. Then nothing. Just me staring at the screen. Time passes. No replies. Hours later, Mateo finally responds. Says they've just been hanging out. It's not a big deal. Anger spikes immediately tell him it is a big deal. To me, say getting quietly cut out after almost a decade isn't casual. Point out that saying you're busy then going out together isn't neutral. Caleb reacts with a grimacing emoji. Still no real explanation. Finally, Eric types says, honestly, I've just been kind of a lot. Lately ask what a lot even means. Want specifics. Tyler jumps in, says, I critique everything they do, and it's exhausting. That word hits harder than I expect. Exhausting. Tell them I'm not criticizing for no reason. Say I'm pointing out real issues, draw a line between random negativity and trying to help friends see harmful patterns. Eric replies, fast. Says this exact conversation is what they're talking about. Caleb adds that almost every hangout turns into me flipping a switch. Says normal conversation becomes a breakdown of what's problematic about whatever we're doing. Says they start bracing for it. Jamal finally speaks, says small things get turned into big things. So often that it's hard to relax around. Me, read all their messages over and over. Instinct is to build a rebuttal. Tell them fun shouldn't depend on ignoring harm. Tell them if enjoyment requires not seeing things. Maybe that's the problem. So I send exactly that. Say they're choosing comfort over awareness. Say ignoring issues doesn't make them disappear. Mateo responds quicker than expected. Says they did think about it. Says that's why they started hanging out without me. That line hits like a punch. All the vague guesses lock into place. They talked about it. They decided they acted on it. This wasn't accidental. The busy schedule's story was just me delaying the truth, fall back on what I'm good at. Write a long, structured message, talk about how groups exclude people who bring up uncomfortable truths, mention how women who speak up get labeled too much, bring up emotional labor, and how calling things out is unpaid. Work usually done by women, list everything I've done for them. Late night breakup talks with Tyler, helping Eric redo his resume after layoffs, driving Caleb to urgent care when he messed up his ankle, checking on Jamal when his dad was hospitalized, listening to Mateo's relationship drama without judging frame. It's so, excluding me isn't just hurtful, it's questionable on a deeper level. Hit, send, watch. Them all, read it, chat. Goes completely silent. No replies that night. Next morning. Still nothing later. That day I open Instagram again. New stories, same bar, same table. Setup. Different night. Chloe's there again, tucked between them like she belongs. Posts a pic. Captioned, these idiots are my free therapy. My whole speech from last night clearly didn't slow them down at all. Decide to switch strategy, try one-on-one instead of the group start with Tyler, longest history. Send a long, genuine message, remind him how long we've known each other. Tell him I call things out because I care about who he is as a person. Say, I don't want to lose the friendship over crossed wires. Ask if we can talk on the phone, he replies. Hours later, says he just needs some space right now. Adds no hard feelings, feels like a polite door shutting in my face. Message Caleb, next shorter. Still sincere, he leaves it on. Read no response, Eric eventually sends. Something says he doesn't really know what to say. But maybe I should think about how people feel around me. Sometimes stare at that. For a long time, my whole identity is caring about how systems affect people. Apparently, I missed how I affect people directly. Jamal doesn't answer at all. Mateo just reacts with a sad emoji. Nothing else. Start leaning harder into therapy. Whole sessions about this, now lay everything out. The corrections, the bar night, the group chat, Chloe, all of it. Use words like betrayal, punishment, internalized misogyny, fragile masculinity. Therapist listens, calm, doesn't argue politics. Then asks questions that annoy me. Asks how often I speak up versus let things pass. Asks if I ever check if people even want feedback. Asks what I feel, right before I jump in to correct someone. Tell her we don't need permission to challenge harmful behavior. Say letting things slide is complicity. Say, silence protects the system. She says she's not arguing the content, just the timing and the relationship. Context says maybe there's a difference between treating friends as peers versus students. That line hits wrong. Leave the session irritated and a little exposed rant about it in my activist group chat. Say even my therapist doesn't fully get it. They back me up. Say women's anger gets labeled as pathology. Say professionals push compromise because they're shaped by conflict, avoidant culture. It feels comforting, but doesn't fully quiet. The thought in the back of my head, time keeps moving. The guys go on a weekend cabin trip, photos everywhere, woods, hikes, cards around a table, fire pit shots. Flannel shirts. Tyler captions it, annual chaos trip. Annual? That word stings. This used to be something I'd help plan. Now it's a tradition I'm not part of. Chloe's in almost every picture sitting where I used to sit, leaning on the same people I used to lean on, smiling in that easy way. I lost somewhere between book 3 and book 4 on patriarchy after that trip. Something in me cracks a little. Send one more message to the group, keep it simple, say I miss them. Say if I came on too strong or made things uncomfortable, I'm sorry. Say I'd rather talk it out once than pretend everything's fine. Ask for one honest conversation. Message gets read by all 5. A full day passes, nothing. Finally, Tyler replies. Says they've talked about it, says it's probably better if they keep doing their own thing. As a group says, if I want to hang one-on-one with someone, that's fine, but the group dynamic doesn't work anymore. Read it over and over. We've talked about it. Picture a whole conversation about me happening somewhere else, like I'm a topic, not a person. Ask what exactly doesn't work. No reply next day. Ask again, want actual examples. Still, nothing they got. Closure I didn't, life keeps going in that weird way. Everything looks the same, outside feels completely different, inside. Still go to work, still grocery shop, still answer emails, new circle fills, some space book clubs, reading groups, organizing meetings. People who speak my language in theory. This is what I wanted, but when I tell a shortened version of what happened, there's always a pause. People say, that sucks, or they sound fragile. But sometimes I catch a flicker in their eyes, like they're wondering what the other side sounds like. That flicker bothers me more than anything they say one night. Can't sleep scrolling, Reddit see a post about dealing with a friend who turns everything into a political lecture. Click instantly. OP describes a mostly male friend group and one woman they've known for years, says she used to be fun. Now she can't let anything go, says every hangout turns into a breakdown of what's problematic. Says they started hanging out without her so they could actually relax. Asks if that makes them bad. People heart rate goes up. Reading it, details aren't identical, but the structure feels way too familiar. Scroll comments easy to ignore, the obvious sexist ones. Those just reinforce my worldview. But then there are others. People saying they used to be that friend. Talk about losing groups before realizing they were using politics to control anxiety or feel superior. say they still care about justice, but learned not. Every moment needs to be a lecture. Those stick close, the app, open Instagram, without thinking, first story is Chloe. Again, same bar we used to go to, same table, almost same faces. One seat, permanently reassigned. Her caption says something about these people being her home. Watch it 3 times. Feels like looking through glass at a life I almost recognize somewhere between frustration and exhaustion. A new thought shows up. If 5 people all experience me as exhausting, if my therapist noticed a pattern, if strangers online describe something that sounds like me, how likely is it that I'm the only one fully right? That thought doesn't erase sexism or make everything harmless, but it messes with the version where I'm the only one who's right and they're just fragile. I hate that, but once it's there, it stays open my notes app. Type "be me" out of habit. Start writing everything in greentext college, bars, memes, corrections. That night at the bar, the chilling at home, lie, the baseball game, Chloe group chat fights, therapy, Reddit. Some lines make me look principled, calling out harm, doing emotional labor. Refusing to ignore things, other lines look worse. Admit I liked being the one with the right language. Admit knowing more gave me leverage when I felt insecure. Admit I sometimes looked for what was wrong instead of who was in front of me. Stare at those lines. Almost delete them. Don't leave them for now. By the end, it reads like something I could post anonymously anywhere. Can already imagine the replies. Some calling me, right? Some calling me unbearable argument in the comments from people who don't know me. Realize that doesn't even feel satisfying anymore. Winning online won't bring them back. Won't teach me where the line is between principled and punishing. A week later, someone from my new circle invites me to a small house hangout mixed group, mostly women and queer people. A couple guys from her job, living room full of snacks, cheap wine, music in the background. Conversation moves, easy jobs, shows, random gossip. For once it feels light at some point. A dumb pop song comes on. One of the guys laughs, says his ex used to scream. This song drunk and that's why he left. Feel that familiar spark. Ready arguments line up. Instantly could talk about how men talk about exes could turn it into a whole thing. My mouth actually opens. Then I notice my friend glancing at me. Subtle look, but I read it. She's waiting to see which version of me shows up before I say anything. Someone else lightly nudges. The guy tells him not to be a jerk. He shrugs, says, "Fair song," changes conversation, moves on, issue handled, in one sentence, no lecture needed. Walking home. I keep replaying it. Letting it go feels wrong and also kind of peaceful. Part of me says, I failed something. Another part admits it felt nice, not being the heavy one for once. Most frustrating part. I don't actually know where the line is, not between caring and not caring, but between speaking enough and speaking too much, between challenging friends and turning them into an audience, between helping and being someone people slowly avoid. Later that night, I open the green text again, scroll to the bottom, add one last line that I still don't know if I lost them because they're fragile or because I became too much or because the truth is somewhere in the middle and I refuse to stand there, stare at it. Thumb hovers, like I might post it somewhere. Don't lock my phone for now. It stays with me. No clean ending, no clear villain. Just someone who went from one of the guys to the person they stopped inviting, someone very sure about the world and a lot less sure about herself.